Finally. Oh, 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 my camera's doing things. What is it doing?
Oh
It's doing
no.
things? Is it done? Okay, I think it's good. Alright, so we should be all set right now. I am just going to post saying that we are live. And we are live. Woohoo!
Hello.
Woo! We're live again. Yay! But it's actually been what, 2 weeks? Are we gonna stick with this whole every other week thing? Or are we gonna still try and shoot for every Sunday, in which we failed almost every time?
I think we're gonna have to try and do it more frequently.
Because I'll do it more often. I don't mind. But we've just been
Wait,
kind of.
are we really that excited?
What?
We're thrilled. Super jazzed up. Ready to roll. Enthusiasm builds.
So, all right, let's. I'm gonna cut the chat and let's move on to the first topic. Be prepared. This one I did do some research on, and I will say this one it was confirmed to be true, and I just kind of couldn't handle when I read it. So, schools implant UIDs in girls as young as 6th grade without their parents knowing. This I.
Sure, that's real.
It has. It's an actual case in Seattle, Washington right now. This is actually going
I don't know. That sounds a little insane because my buddy keeps trying to convince me of the chemtrail thing, and I'm like, I'm not buying into that one.
This is something that
That's kind of heavy duty.
Well, this is the issue. Is it basically the whole idea is that they're using the schools, health and safety and sex ed kind of thing to justify being able to do that. And the issue is there were cases where the parents were never told. So, yeah. In my book, that is basically rape. And I know that sounds weird, but essentially, to me, in my idea, that's 6th grade kids.
Wait.
You don't do that.
All I can say is I'm glad I don't have daughters, but from a guy with two teenage boys, that's a little icky to me. That's a little weird. As much as I'm a bit atypical in my political views, that's fucking weird.
Well, the sad part is Chief Stealth was an actual school that was doing it, but there are more schools that are actually doing this. And actually, the funny thing is, this was from, I'll take you guys to the length, but this is actually from CNS News, which is actually a local place out there. And what was scary is the fact that this is something that's real. Like, I wouldn't propose this if this wasn't real, but it's something that in doing research, it freaked me out. And I kind of couldn't, the thing is, I have a little sister, so for someone like me, I just absolutely lost it. I was like, that can't be real. But no, it's seriously, the state and federally funded contraceptive services are made possible by Take Charge, a Washington state Medicaid program, which provides free birth control to adults who are uninsured, lack of contraceptive coverage, have an income, or at below 260% of the federal poverty level, or in this case, to teens who don't want their parents to know they're on birth control. So that kind of freaks me out. The idea that like, oh, the kids don't want their parents to know that they're doing this, so they're just gonna go behind their back. I don't know. That just absolutely floored me that even exists. Like, no.
This doesn't seem like on any excuse, even public health, that you can do that kind of thing to anyone. Isn't that's so? It's almost like bringing up Roe versus Wade again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what is scary. Here's my thing. It's not like the school was proposing it and they had to get parents' consent. I would actually be somewhat the kind of the person that I'd say that's okay if they were trying to say, hey, if they're going to screw around, you might as well not make it so they don't have kids. I get that. But at 6th grade, like, that is...
Well,
maybe
I'll tell you what.
Because kids are maturing more and more.
It's interesting. A lot of it's because of the failed programs, perhaps. My ex, who's now in her master's program for social work, we were talking about a similar subject, mainly in the topic of failed programs. The two big ones were the DARE program and...
That's true.
what was the other one we were talking about that just literally had the opposite effect? You know, the DARE program clearly had the opposite effect. And God, what was the other one she brought up? But anyway, my point is that you can't have draconian and or ridiculous. It just doesn't serve. Like I dare say, I compliment California's education system in the sense that public school, high school level, we had a class that was opposite driver's education. It was basically health ed, but the main focus of it, like half of it, was basically drug education and sex education at a really high level, and it was almost college level, and it wasn't biased in any way, shape, or form. And I dare say I learned more in that class than any other about a lot of things: drugs, sexual diseases, the effects of smoking, tobacco, all that stuff. You know, it was well done, and I just don't understand why there can't be more of that type of approach, unless of these, you know, that's just weird.
I have a
And then obviously a clear violation. I do agree. Whatever that, I don't know who had their head tied on crooked that day that said, "Oh yeah, we're just going to put IUDs in these little girls." That makes sense, and I get it. They're teenagers. I shouldn't use little girls, but
what the only thing that to me, I don't mind them doing this, but the age is too young. And the fact that without parents' consent. So it's one of those things that just kind of freaks me out. But it's just something that kind of freaks me out over that issue. So the only thing that kind of really gets me about this too is the fact that this is something that's not really being talked about that often. Like I've seen it mentioned on a couple news sites, but like local stuff. But that is something that kind of should be talked about. And I will say, going back to like DARE programs and stuff like that, I have been in those, and I will say that they don't really tell you all the information. They cherry pick stuff, and they aren't honest with it. And a lot of stuff like that, a lot of these kids, they need the information. You know, information is not bad. You know, so if they had more education on stuff like that, more honest with it, the outcome would be better. But to just kind of go behind people's backs and the parents' backs, no, that's new. Not acceptable. So, yeah. Any of you guys have any other thoughts on that, or is that just kind of a...
No, that's like crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's
so crazy, it's even hard to talk about. It's like, wow, that can even be a thing.
That one's not a very controversial topic. I know everybody's pretty much going to have the same thoughts on that.
No. You know. I mean, there's certain things that are controversial right now. Obviously, in this area, the damn Confederate flag thing. I don't know if that was on the list.
We're gonna get to that one. That I have like a special segment for that we're gonna get to. But all right, moving on to the next topic, and this one I kind of want to talk about. This is actually happening in why am I blanking right now? I think it was New Zealand, if I'm correct. Let me find for a second. I believe it was New Zealand. Oh my god.
Some European country that ain't America.
I thought it was New Zealand, or was it another bill? The harmful digital communications bill. I thought it was in New Zealand. Or am I thinking of something else that I read the other day? Sorry guys, I am screwing up right now. I've been reading so much information lately.
We still love you.
Why doesn't it say where it's from?
You still have the best hair.
That is true. But why doesn't this say... have you found it, Stonewall? I don't know if this is the one from New Zealand or not, because I read one about New Zealand the other day.
Well, whichever one is the next one should be,
It's the harmful digital communications bill passes, and it's key elements with the guy's face on it. That's in the group. I could have sworn... I'm gonna click and just see if it'll bring me to where...
just select a random one.
New Zealand. Okay, that's what I thought. It's from New Zealand legislature. That's what I thought. So, anybody that's up for freedom of speech in New Zealand, you just got shut down. For basically what this does, a fine of up to $50,000 for an individual or up to $200,000 for a body corporate, or up to 2 years jail for posting or sending a quote-unquote harmful digital communication, aka cyberbullying with a post likely to cause distress. The bill covers racist, sexist, and religiously intolerant comments, plus those about disabilities or sexual orientation. It goes on though.
Why is this such a big deal to these people?
Well, here's the part that I think that's really not good. An approved agency will advocate on behalf of the complainant. The aim is that the agency should be able to make direct contact with web publishers, social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, or a member of the public often has trouble getting heard. The Law Commission, yada yada. The nonprofit NetSafe's backers include Internet Z. Yes, Tyler, I know you're there. Administrative education and private companies and such. Here's the issue I have. Is that's a very general idea of saying cyberbullying with a post likely to cause distress. You can be fined or sent to jail over sending something that might cause
User
distress.
joined your channel.
Like, that to me is kind of a mind-blowing thing. That means I could send someone a text that's a friend and just say, you're a jerk. And because it might cause distress, I could technically be sent to jail or be fined for it. So Tyler,
basically,
stop spamming my phone, you dunce. But anyways,
so basically, you're like being sent to jail because you hurt someone's feelings.
exactly. We're now part of an era where if you hurt someone's feelings, you can be sent to jail and caught. Guys, I can't eat that anymore.
That's
I
not very
can't eat.
surprising, and it's a worldwide thing. Everybody's worrying.
butthurt
My
over
feels, my feels.
But that's what's happening. I just can't handle that. And you know what the funny thing is? In trying to defend the law, here is what they say. No law is perfect. No legislation is perfect. This is no exemption, current Internet executive chief. That was their response to talk about how it was flawed.
Yeah, no
They just say
shit,
no
no
law
law
is
is
perfect. Well,
perfect.
it's like, yeah, it's a great way to dodge the question, you jackass.
Yeah. So is there any way, how is the law? Is there any problems with the law? Yeah, there are problems.
There's problems.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. Well, yeah. Are we talking
Uh-huh.
about the new communication bill? Harmful digital
Yes,
communications.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you sir. Oh yeah. I want to tell you, if this person goes president, I'm just gonna go to New Zealand, the freest country in the world.
it used to be, and I guess, crazy people got control of it because I can't handle that anymore. That is insane. The fact that any of them can even. Because at this point, I can't even. I can't even deal with that. I don't know about you guys, but that is absolutely asinine. So, needless to say, in New Zealand, don't tell anybody anything. Just don't do anything over texting or over internet. Just like, no, if you have an opinion, tough shit. You can't say it anymore. Welcome to the world. So, yeah, this was a quick topic. And you know what? The only thing that concerns me too, what was it? I forget. Yes, this is it. Web publishers could opt into a safe harbor provision protecting them from liability, but it also crimping free speech because if they agree to take down allegedly offending material on demand or within 48 hours. Which means anybody posts anything someone doesn't like, it has to be taken down within 48 hours. It's like, well, anybody can complain about anything now, and it completely stifles it. And you know what's? I really like they did a
Daisies.
little poll. What?
Daisies are the best. Daisies are the best type of flower. Oh, I don't agree with this. Let's take it down.
Exactly. So that's the kind of world we're gonna end up getting into at this point. It's nuts. So, and what I like is most people have the same agreement with us.
Well, to me, I get the intent, I guess, is to minimize bullying, et cetera, et cetera. I like the ideas of these kind of things, but you can't legislate certain kinds of behavior. Yes, you can fend off certain things, but to me, there's a huge difference between cyberbullying and people just being plain offended by stuff. And by the way, I could have swore that there's still like a sort of Second Amendment issue with the internet and some stuff regarding, even people we don't like still have the right to express their feelings amongst their own people, whether we like it or not, kind of thing.
Yeah. And what's sad, what
Yeah.
concerns me is how far will this go? Like, I understand they're trying to curb something, but to be honest, guys, this doesn't start. You can't just legislate people to not do offensive things. It's called teaching them within society and making a society where people are brought up to maybe be a little bit more considerate, but at the same time, if you bring up a society that's also considerate, that also completely curbs people from having thoughts or speaking out against people.
Right.
That puts such a damper on it that at that point, why? You're trying to artificially tell people what to think and what to say by telling them that this is wrong before they ever say it. And the issue is what happens with the thoughts that comes after that. Now you're not letting people think about things. You don't let them talk about things. And what scares me is that this is only the first story. This is only the stepping stone. So, where this goes, if it stops right here and they make it so it's somewhat hard to actually find someone for harmful digital communication, then I guess, but I don't know. It's nuts.
Again, a lot of things start out with noble intent, but get weird very quickly. I saw a really good post where there was a conservative, Christianish guy, but he's also a lawyer, who had a really lengthy, very detailed, very perfect post about the people who were really freaking out over the gay marriage decision, is my point. And he basically pointed out that, listen, there's a fundamental difference between what we call in our Constitution and in our legal system human rights and what other people or even himself might call or label as sin, or as we're also talking about things that other people may not agree with. Irrelevant. It doesn't matter. People have certain rights irregardless of their damn opinion, whether we think it's flawed or not, just like the Confederate flag and so many other things.
Oh, yeah. So I would agree with that, though, a lot.
But I am worried about this one. I see this passes, but yeah, let's keep an eye on this. This is potentially scary.
This is something that, guys, I will be keeping up with, just like I'm keeping up with, as you guys will see, I will be talking more later on tonight about microaggression. I'm going to have another segment on that, again, like I did last week, because that's like my favorite topic of the month right now. But, John, I know you wanted to say something about it.
Oh, it's almost like, I don't know, it's like people saying, people don't understand that there's a difference between a freedom of speech and a freedom of thought, and just the right to individuality and the right to autonomy, and people get that confused with, oh, he's not allowing me to do this or do that. They grew up in history classes and they saw the civil rights movement and they say, oh yeah, they're being oppressed and government action came from it, and then when you get honest criticism, they say, oh, I'm being put down, I'm being oppressed, where's my government action? It's like, it's just people just wanting to get what they think they deserve.
Okay, this took place in a European nation like New Zealand, right?
What?
Yeah.
New Zealand is...
You were talking
European.
about the...
Not
what?
European.
Oh my god. You know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean. It's not American, but still, they had their own civil rights.
Yeah.
They had their own. Yeah.
I don't think we have to. I don't think we have to worry about this whole thing like spreading across the globe.
I don't think so. I mean, in Massachusetts, in Massachusetts, it's against the law to not wear your seatbelt while you drive, and some argue, yeah, if I have the right to not wear my seatbelt, and then if I want to die and I want to take that risk, why is that taken away from me? Yeah, there are people that are really extreme about that, but if you want to stay for stupid laws, don't doubt Massachusetts.
That was just like a few years ago. You could legally not have health care, and now you get a fine for it if you don't have health care. It's one of those things that... the problem is it's getting rid of choices like that, and it's something that... You say it couldn't spread to America, it couldn't spread to our civilization. Well, they've already done similar things in Europe. Like that segment we talked about last.
I'm not saying it can't, like it's impossible, but I mean, I do think it is possible that it can spread over here, but what are the chances?
It's very improbable, and I doubt it'll ever happen.
I don't know. Don't doubt the stupidity of Massachusetts state laws.
Well, don't doubt the stupidity of America at this point. With the people that we elect into power, yeah.
We can't buy fireworks here, but no one gives a damn if you go to New Hampshire or Connecticut and buy fireworks and then light them off here.
And,
it's have you ever, James? Have you ever seen anyone get arrested for lighting off fireworks in Massachusetts?
No.
Yeah, neither have I, and I live, my neighbor's constantly lighting off fireworks, and it's like, seriously, it's like, why can't we just buy them here? It's like, oh, it's a public safety thing, it takes a stance. It's like, stupid.
I agree, it's stupid. And your mic's doing weird things.
Just not even stupid Democrats, but just stupid lawmakers that think it's going to stop people from getting fireworks into the state. I mean, all it's doing is helping the revenue of New Hampshire, and I'm sure New Hampshire appreciates that, but really, I mean...
Oh, yeah.
I want to light off a goddamn firework. Why can't I get one in the next town over? Oh, because stupid state laws.
It's because everybody doing something in the name of public safety, whether it's actually safe or not. You know.
Exactly.
That's how...
That's the most effective way lawmakers can get any law passed, is that it protects our children. And you know any parent is going to do anything to help protect their children from the terrors of the unknown.
They won't do the research and they don't do the things. They'll just hop on board.
But that's just a natural tendency. You can't blame them because they want to defend their kid.
I agree, but at the same time, I think it's the responsibility of any parent to actually do some research before you vote on anything. That's the way our country's supposed to be.
Oh yeah, but if there's any chance that it's going to harm their kid, they're not going to doubt that.
That's true.
It's, you know... really steer this conversation.
Remind me, I have a topic. To finish off with if we don't have any spare ones. And we have
I got a ton of stuff, but you can always change things and add things. But alright, so I want to switch over now to an article from Generation Opportunity that I know for a fact this happened. I did a lot of research on this one yet again. This is also yet again, last week we talked about civil asset forfeiture, and I'm bringing this back up again because TSA seizes $75,000 from a passenger without a warrant. Yet again, through civil asset forfeiture. So, what's kind of funny is the fact that essentially a man was going through security at Richmond International Airport. A TSA agent noticed his large luggage and found $75,000 and tweeted pictures of his personal belongings on the internet for the world to see. Meanwhile,
okay, that is a ridiculous abuse of power.
Not only that, but the DEA seized the man's cash and kept it. They said, "Oh, you have too much money? We assume, it must be from drugs, and we'll keep it." It's like, yeah, okay. No, that's not okay. That's not okay at all. You can't assume how someone...
Even if it was from drugs, good for that guy for making that much money off it and for not getting caught. I mean, that alone, he earns that money, goddamn.
Yet again, it's the government oversight trying to take anything and everything they can nowadays. Did you guys hear? Oh, this is a funny thing. I know that last week we talked about how the IRS was hacked and how they had the password, the spare password. Information just came out yesterday. I couldn't update it quickly enough, and we'll talk about it next week. But not only that, they found out this information that the government had, all those people that the information was stolen, now information has come out that they had information on all their spouses, their friends, where they worked, where they were hanging out, what they were doing, like detailed information that has been leaked out on the internet for people to see and for other countries. And what the scary thing is, it's information that nobody should have. Like, the government should not know my favorite places to hang out and who I hang out with and what I usually do and where I'm going and what places do I usually go. Like, no. That's none of their business.
No, they shouldn't, but to be fair, I mean, anyone can figure that out just by hanging out with you. I mean, it doesn't take that much reasoning and skill, but no, they shouldn't.
That information on hundreds of thousands of people, like, I'm basically paying for the government to spy on myself at this point.
Yeah, that's we all are.
You know, it's just something that just... But anyways, getting back to this. The point being that... never mind. So, the point being that a lot of these incidents have been happening recently. More often since 2008. I wonder if that has to do with who we got elected in 2008. But anyways, the point being that this has been a problem. And I would agree with this article, and this is the part to do with the government should not have the power to take your property without obtaining a warrant. And I would think... What?
Well, here's the worst case I'd heard of. This happened roughly a year ago. I don't know if you read this one. A guy was traveling by car to go buy a car from a Craigslist and or eBay ad, and even had a printout of the eBay/Craigslist ad with him. And it was a large sum of cash, but not ridiculous. I think it was 15, 18 grand, something in that neighborhood. And had the exact same thing pulled over, civil forfeiture. County sheriff kept it, and they, as far as I know, they still got to keep it. And even showed the officer, look, I'm going to buy a car. He insisted on cash. I offered a cashier's check. He said, no, bring cash. This is what I'm doing. And did not win. Still doesn't have his money, last I heard.
And there was the same thing we talked about a few episodes about a farmer that happened to.
User in your channel timed out.
And he went to... Well, that's
User entered your channel.
Hey, Stonewall came back. But that was from a farmer that went to go buy parts, and that happened to him. He had like 15, 14 grand in cash, and they just took it because they say, well, the ends, the end game, meaning you having this money must justify how you got it, so it must be ours now. What's insane is the fact that I've always been the kind of person, as you guys saw in the last ones, I've always held the opinion you must obtain a warrant to take anything from a person unless you're in a situation where, like, a person points a gun at someone, unless it's like a federal crime like that, where obviously you could take the guy's gun, duh. But to obtain anything like that, you must get a warrant. You must go through the proper protocols. They wonder why people are starting to hate police. I've always been such a fan of police. I have helped train with police. I know police very well. And I will say, pulling this kind of stunt is exactly why a lot of people are scared and afraid. Of course, they're naturally going to be distrustful of a police officer when people can abuse power like that. And I'm not saying it's all police officers. I'm saying it's a very small portion, or a very small portion of the administration of police officers.
And no one can claim, and no one can scream profiling on this one, because these are, white, affluent, either farmers, or this guy was just an average middle-class man who happened to have enough cash to buy the car and did it, or tried to.
It's been about money. That's all it's been about. Is they see there's enough money where they can justify taking it.
Well, here's the horrible thing. The way the law is written, it's your stuff that actually is being charged with a crime, not even you. And you can't... Yeah. Your stuff can't defend itself. Your stuff can't have a lawyer, and it's a weird conundrum they've set up.
How can you charge an inanimate object of a crime? And this is something that... I don't know if we brought up the last time we talked about this, but I kind of forgot to get into it, was the idea that you are saying that this stuff was involved in something illegal, and thus we can seize it, even though if it had nothing to do with the person that owns it. Technically how it goes is because he owns the money, it shouldn't matter where it really came from unless it can be proven, but you have to go through the proper procedure of our law system, our judicial system. So
okay, let's go ahead and take an extreme one. Let's say he pulled over a known 15-mile long rap sheep drug dealer and found a lot of cash on him. And the judge said, we're keeping that shit. That is completely different than farmer going to buy tools or a large piece of farm equipment with cash, or this guy going to buy a car with cash, et cetera, et cetera. Those people get held under this same thing. I get it. It's designed to capture those situations ostensibly, but that's not what's happening.
But now
it's being grossly abused.
That the lawn rap sheet drug dealer would earn that money, honestly. I mean, if he's had a lawn rap sheet, like you said, and we're not speaking hypothetical.
Well, that brings up that other argument, dude.
How likely is he to give up that kind of lifestyle? He's proven he's not going to.
Dude, this is all about the prohibition issue, dude. That's a different issue.
No, I know, but you know what I mean. But like, how honestly is he going to get that? Is he going to earn that money? He could still
earn that money. Now,
honestly.
okay, let me bring up one more anomaly here. Now, this is actually my personal contractor who recently did the work, and it actually kind of bummed me out that he's one of these people. Literally, old-timer, not even that old. He's barely maybe in his 50s and 60s at the earliest. This guy does not have a fucking bank account. I'm not kidding you. We had to pay him we had to give him checks, of course, but he immediately took him to the bank to cash them to pay his people. As a contractor in this area who does business and has been for apparently 20 some odd years or more, has not a personal bank account. Now that shows you. Now what about those guys? Don't you think he has a shoebox or a safe somewhere?
Oh yeah.
Now what happens when he's transporting money? And this is a dude, I think he's actually a pretty sweet old man, but I dare say he's probably not done anything illegal in his whole entire life. No. Maybe cheat on his wife at worst, if that.
But what I find sad is the idea that I've always been the firm believer in this, how the justice system is supposed to work, that even if the guy has been arrested 55 times, you should never assume that he has broken the law before it has been proven that he has. And even if it is a known drug dealer, you can't always assume that it comes from drugs. Granted, I know that we want to, and logically, would it support it? Absolutely. You're probably 95% correct that the money came from drugs in that situation.
But what if it wasn't?
Exactly, and the whole idea of our system is they'd rather, yet again, as we've all known, we've heard this, they'd rather let a guilty man go than an innocent man be put in jail. So, and the issue is when you assume that the money's been involved in something like that, you're invariably... bad stuff happens with that, and especially you get innocent people's money taken. Now, here's the scary part. Here's the figure that they give. I will admit, guys, I can't quantify this figure. That would take a lot of research, and will I eventually be able to figure it out? Maybe. But from this website, I've seen the number vary from 2 to 4, even 5 billion. They say since 2008, the police departments around the country and even military police have been able to seize about $3 billion. Now, what is scary is that is a crap ton of money, especially when you consider how police forces lately have been starting to militarize themselves, get more military equipment and things like that.
You know where the money goes, right?
Oh, yeah.
It goes directly to those local enforcements who seize them. So they get to basically spend it on, as even been caught saying on camera, toys and fringe things they know they probably would like to have but wouldn't be able to afford. And again, I'm not saying these are things that don't help them in their pursuit of their job as law enforcement officers. A lot of them are, in fact, very beneficial. Things like upgraded, whatever, equipment, sidearms, whatever the damn thing is. But the ridiculous thing is that they just have access to a money stream that is shady as just all get out. Oh, my Lord.
Well, that's all administration's job, though. Any administration should be... Oh, my God, I just knocked over my microphone. But
again, I didn't necessarily label this an administration issue. This has been going on for a while. It seems to be getting worse, but I dare say this started long before we had Obama and or Clinton and or any other liberal in office. I don't think it's a... And you know my view on politics anyway. I think all this crap is blurred. I don't think anyone is a hardliner anymore. Everyone's a wishy-washy gray area moderate, and it's pretty bad.
Well, the only thing that... I'm losing words right now because this is how much this kind of stuff upsets me. But what I find sad is how many people have legitimately been forced into poverty by something like this happening. How many people that were maybe starting up a
or can't get out? Well, what if that guy, like you said, what if that drug dealer actually had a legit job? That was his first paycheck. He just cashed it. He hadn't opened a bank account yet, and/or he doesn't want to open a bank account yet because of other reasons. Who knows? Personal choice.
Lives have possibly been set back or even ruined.
Until they get rid of paper money, we shouldn't be forced to have any alternative when they can comfortably say paper money's gone and we can have little implants or whatever the hell they're going to do that we're going to...
You shouldn't even have to do that. It should not believe... You should have to obtain a warrant to take anything from someone. End of story.
Period. Yeah, at least in this country.
That's the way it should be, and that's the way it says by law. So the fact that anybody thinks they can do anything else, I think is ridiculous. If you don't like the law, you don't have to live here.
Have you researched when this started? I'm kind of curious when this mess opened up, because I think the law's always been there, right?
The law has always been there. You were correct. That was from Prohibition. However, it has been rewritten several times, and the word's been taken a little bit more loosely. Back in Prohibition, it was specifically talking about alcohol. So this was used to get the rum runners and things like that, and you know the booze runners. Everyone talk about those guys back then. But that's because also back then things were much more black and white, shall I say. It was pretty easy to tell how they were getting their money, and I guess kind of things they could do stuff differently. But nowadays, this kind of legislation should only be used in extreme certain circumstances. Even then, I can't see any time you could justify taking someone's money without going through the judicial system, with the proper methods. That's why we have them in place. If police and administrations, everybody else, if they can just ignore it, why have it? You know? Because then technically, here's the funny thing. They can use civil asset forfeiture for anything. They could walk up and just say, yeah, we need your house.
They have. I've seen stories about that too.
Well, no, they've done it many times.
Parents had a kid involved in a whatever drug situation. Kid gets in trouble. Then next thing you know, because they know either drugs were housed at and or transaction happened on the property, they can suddenly seize the parents' house. They can seize the cars. They can seize anything and everything they pretty much want at that stage. It's just without a warrant. Again, it's totally different. And the scary thing is, and this is what these people did, they looked into getting a lawyer to, you know, get their stuff back. And again, there's the problem. You cannot defend an inanimate object against this because it can't be defended, and that's basically what they're doing. They're charging inanimate objects with crimes that fundamentally are charged against people that do things, not that sit there and are used in their clause for that. Like, isn't that the whole firearm thing? A firearm being used in the course of a felony gets you a whole bunch of extra damn charges. Well, guess what? That should be the same damn thing for stealing stuff under the guise of this stupid law. It needs to be blatantly used in the course of or the pursuit of a criminal thing of whatever the hell they're after to even think about justifying it, and it should be bounced off a judge. Not a bullshit local judge either.
My thought would be, if this is used, if civil asset forfeiture is used, and it is found to be used unjustly. Either A, the police officers that used it should be fired or suspended without pay and then undergo a investigation, or they should have to have an official sign off, and that official is signing off saying that they know 100% that that's the right thing to do, and if it comes out that the person isn't guilty of anything, that they should not only have to give it all back, but compensate the person for damages. And that would ensure that the only time this was ever done was in an absolute emergency. Because if a police officer or even an official, or if someone has to hang their neck out on the line and possibly get themselves in a sticky situation, they won't, just for the sake of it.
Never mind hanging their head on, never mind like put their neck on the line for that, but like there's so much red tape involved in that, they're just going to want to avoid that entirely.
Well, that's exactly the point. That's my whole point.
Yeah.
Is I don't see any scenario, unless yet again in an extreme situation, that they can do that. And it should only be so extreme that they know for a fact it has to be done, and they can put their neck on the line, put their head on the line, and it'll be justified. Because no sensible person would do it just for the hell of it. So, that's my thought on it, but it's something that I find to be ridiculous. So, moving on to something that I think is hilarious. I don't know if you guys remember microaggressions. Oh, UCLA, you stupid idiots. So, now, there's the University of Wisconsin has updated their list of what they consider to be microaggressions. Now, I'm going to quickly summarize for anybody who doesn't know. Microaggression is basically the idea of someone talking to someone, and anybody can make the assumption about your intent behind it. Meaning, asking someone is, where are you from? And then people put in the assumption that I'm assuming that you're not from here. So if I go up to John and say, where were you born? Then they make the assumption that my position is you don't belong here because you don't look like you were born here. That is literally microaggression. And the issue is you can get in trouble for it. And this is the crazy part. Is it even says, like, when I look at you, I don't see color. America is a melting pot. There's only one race, the human race. They're considered that to be a microaggression. Yet that's like, those are literally the left, what they kind of go for. And yet, the people on the left are saying that that's a microaggression. That's like the biggest shooting yourself in the foot I have ever seen, ever. I believe that the most qualified person should get the job. Apparently, it's a microaggression. So apparently, it gets the most stupid person to get the job. Oh, that's another microaggression. Well, I guess I can't say anything. Oh, that's a microaggression. That's assuming it's this endless stream of stupidity. Why are these colleges even getting microaggressions as an idea or a legitimate idea of any sort? Is ridiculous.
Because they're less concerned with teaching students and more concerned with creating safe spaces for them where they can just hide away from the world with their little blanket and bib and fucking thumb to suck.
That's it. Basically, the whole idea is that they want to... Well, also, I think they want to do whatever's hip. That's the social justice warrior, our current generation, think that it's hip to follow this.
Yes.
The whole peace, don't offend anybody, I don't want to hurt your feelings. Really, John, is it really going to hurt you if I ask where are you from?
No, not at all. I'm
there
from
we
West
go.
Bridgewater.
We've solved the problem, guys.
I'm offended.
There we go. I swear to God, this whole world, everybody's going to get offended to everything, and all we can ever say to people is hi. That's going to be the only thing. Hello. Hi.
Nope. What if they're a stoner?
Fuck.
No, you can't even say hello to people. That's assuming that they know English, and that's denigrating.
English.
That's diminishing their culture and their heritage. You can't do that. Not everyone's Anglo-Saxon American, James.
Well, fuck me.
God.
Now you guys gotta...
Wait. This just in. Financial news: Bitcoin breaks $310. I'm sorry, just had to add that.
Really? Dude, I should have invested in Bitcoin a while ago.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's gonna hit 1,000.
Well, dude, that's why I might spend a couple $100 and get a couple. But anyways, that's for a whole nother discussion. But so now this is actually a picture that I kind of like. That they kind of literally sum it up. So, for instance, the microaggression is when I look at you, I don't see color. And literally on their page, the message is denying a person's color, racial, ethnic experience, assimilate, and acculate to the dominant culture. So essentially they're saying that, like, I can't I just guys, that's why this podcast is called I Can't Even, because this is oh my god. This is that's all I can say. That's all I can say. Duh.
I mean, we got sociological issues in this world, but that's not really one of them, I don't think.
No, like this one's funny. The theme of this one is denial of individual racism, a statement made by whites deny their racial bias. Mind you guys, this is on University of Wisconsin. This is the part of their actual examples of microaggressions under their handbook, which is where you have to sign and yada yada. It says, I'm not a racist. I have several black friends. Which, the message that they think you're sending is, well, I'm immune to racism because I have friends of color. Which is kind of true, but then they say your racial oppression is no different than... Why colleges? Why have to be stupid? Like, why can't you just let people talk just because something's offensive, just because something doesn't make you happy? Tough shit. In this world, 95% of all things aren't going to make you happy. Live with it. So, yeah, colleges are like, they're going to give me aneurysms, guys. Like, I'm probably not going to survive this next semester if this is how it's going to be. You guys
Brain explosion. Scanners.
I'll be one of those guys that like comes out of first semester in December, and it's like crawling out of a cave like a bear coming out from slumber, like looking at the sky and like the sun, being like, "This is a thing."
Make sure you get your good sunglasses.
Hey, you gotta think about their feelings. You really gotta think about their feelings.
You know, honestly, I think I'm gonna be part of the people in this generation that's not gonna give a flying fuck about other people's feelings.
I totally agree with you.
It's like at this point, it's like no. As it is, this whole thing of racial microaggressions is just... University of Wisconsin, I just really hope... I hope you guys just burn. I hope that place just burns down at this point.
Alright.
It just... I know it's ridiculous to say.
Let's go. Let's go. That's killing me, dude. Let's just move on. Let's just... Nah.
I can't do it. Okay.
I'd rather talk about the panther they found.
Well, I was just going to move to that, guys.
Oh, you're kidding. I was joking about that.
No, that was seriously the next one on the list.
Please donate. Germany, donate to Botham. We love you.
So, as you guys know, we're all big tank fans here, and we all are historians here. And, yeah, they found a World War II tank, a German Panther. Was it a Panther D? Or Panther A?
Looks like a D
Panther
or A.
D.
Early.
That was hilarious.
In his basement. He just... In his cellar. They just kept it.
It
also says that he drove it around in the snow in 1973.
78, yes. No, the 78 storm.
Guys, I'll be honest with you guys.
So this thing was running within 20 years, 30 years from now, dude. This thing will be up and running.
Well,
Excited.
This thing will be probably up and running in just a couple of years.
Did you hear what else they found in his cellar?
No, I didn't hear about that.
A 533 millimeter torpedo, still armed, and a AAA towed AAA emplacement.
It was still armed?
The torpedo was, I believe, yes.
That's a problem.
Not inert, and the AAA was just obviously cool because I think it was a towed 23 or something.
This guy is my hero.
I like him. I like this. It's eccentric old dude, and I get it. They went there ostensibly looking for German, war crime art and stuff that was hidden. But wow, took his Panther. Oh well.
Now they just took it from him.
Yeah, the Germans seized it because you can't really. I mean, again, in this country you can't legally own a tank, and yes, in a lot of places in Europe you can legally own a tank. And technically, his lawyer is pushing back because the gun is inert. So he can push back and say, "Hey, it's not able to fire." He can technically legally own the thing, and then it just gets to, and then it gets just to be how to acquire it. And I dare say he's probably been sitting on it. His fucking grandfather probably drove it in the garage and said, "Here, son, we're gonna chill on this because someone left it out in the rain."
Like, I would have showered my dad, and my parents with "You are the #1 dad" gift every other day. Every Sunday would have been Father's Day in my house.
Like the guy who built the mech treehouse for his kids and
awesome.
Yeah, that guy was awesome.
But so this only confirms myself that I do really want to own a tank one day. That has solidified my position on it.
We need more movies. We need more things like Fury, but even better with more tanks.
How about more historically and action accurate? How about that?
Yes, let's get some more Private Ryan stuff, but from tanker point of view, that would be so nice. Especially since we have the whole, the Russians have so many restored now, all the way up to T-44. So there's plenty of toys.
Exactly. So Hollywood, make that happen.
I agree. We do need more historically accurate films. Fury tried too hard to be like Saving Private Ryan. One thing that bugs me is that German tank crews are always told to go for easy 8s. He goes for the easy 8 last.
Exactly. That would be the first tank he took out. But anyway, yeah, you're right. But it's funny, and it was a decent movie. But you're right. It tried being cooler than accurate.
For us guys that are historians and are really into it, it jerks our chain. Whereas like a lot of other people like it that are sort of into the history field. But for people like us that know a lot about it and do a lot of reading, for us kind of people, there aren't any movies out there because none of them really care. I'd love to see something like, even in the terms of like the Military Channel or the History Channel, sponsoring a movie that they can do that'd be more historically accurate. Maybe like a more accurate representation of the life of a tanker or...
You did hear about that Russian project, right?
What Russian project?
Oh God, Google it real quick. The War Thunder guys are tied to it because they're using some of their 3D animation tech to do the backgrounds. Hold on.
But
it's called some dudes. It's basically a 50-some-odd guys held off an entire German offensive, and it's a very famous battle in World War II from the Soviet side, and they're doing a little movie on it, and it looks really brilliant. Yes. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you didn't see the trailer.
In English, or is it going to be in Russian?
I imagine they will either dub it or subtitle it. One of the two. I hope we get.
As long as they dub it in English, I will. I don't do well with subtitles. I know it sounds weird.
It depends. I get that.
Why? Why would you?
What?
Dubs are terrible.
I prefer dubs because with subtitles, I get bored, and especially with my multi-monitor setup, my attention will totally drift to something else.
How much time do we have, by the way?
Secretly, James can't read.
Right. Time check.
Guys, the jig is up.
How much time do we have, by the way?
The jig is up.
How much time we have?
I don't know how long you do these things for. Did you see my links I posted you?
Usually till 10:30. So like
okay.
Whatever. I know. I saw your links from earlier. Did I?
Look, the links I put in TeamSpeak, those are kind of important. They were a topic from a few weeks back.
Posted in TeamSpeak. Do you guys?
I put in private chat to you, dude. Private TeamSpeak message. Harvard study just came out on gun violence. Very important study.
Can you
read about it?
To me? I know it sounds weird, but don't ask. I had TeamSpeak do something weird earlier.
Okay, I'll do it for everybody.
All right, so now on to, I think it'll probably be the last topic, unless if you guys have. I know Davey said you had something you wanted to propose.
That was the article. It's basically a Harvard study. I'll give a little synopsis while you guys are looking at it. Basically, the bottom line is.
We can do that one next. Because
okay, to do it next week. Yeah, that gives time to study up on it.
No. Like we can do it like next as in now.
Oh, okay.
I want to end on.
Well, basically, here's the deal. The bottom line is, it's basically calling the NRA out online, which is kind of sad because I'm a big Second Amendment guy, as you know, even though I don't really own guns. Basically, the bottom line is, and we've kind of known a little bit about this, for those of us who have been looking into it, we know that extensively, as much as we don't want to admit it, don't everyone freak the hell out. But it's true. Face it. Gun control can work. I don't like it. It happens to be true. It may not work here politically, but let's face facts. Places where there are less guns, Australia, just one minor example, there's hundreds and hundreds, there is less crime. Now, this Harvard study has shown, plain and simple, with absolute facts, that every single state where there is high gun ownership, including concealed carry users, there is a correlatedly high violent crime rate, including gun and non-gun violence. States with lower gun ownership have a noticeably lower violent crime rate, violent gun rate, all those damn things that they like to brag about, that we all need to have guns. So I just want to be, and it's just sad because, again, it's this constant bullshit machine that I hate, because to me that's not the point. Guns, to me, are a sporting thing. They are not really a practical self-defense thing. Not because they can't be, just because most situations are rarely in that kind of environment. And by the way, if they get into your house anyway, you failed. That means you have shitty doors, locks, indoor security system, and John, we can't hear you. So anyway, I thought the article was interesting because it basically called the NRA out on bullshitting because they've been skewing numbers, and this has been a long-term study that they've looked at, and it clearly shows there's a relation between less guns and less violence. And of course, not to mention the obvious thing, suicides is the number one thing guns do in this country.
Yeah, however, I would take suicides out of the equation because, quite frankly,
I agree.
If someone wants to do it, they'll do it with whatever.
I agree. It's just an easy out. It's just an easy, quick out for those people. But back to the reality of guns versus no guns. And again, love my guns. I just hate that there seems to be this, yet again, bullshit machine going on in Washington with these lobby groups.
Here's my thought that has always been true, and I know this from a lot of different things. I've always known the fact that, to be quite honest with you, it's not the guns that's the issue, it's the lack of training. And I will say this from a perspective that I do know very well. I know even well in Massachusetts what it takes to get an LTC, and I know from other states. I will say that it shouldn't be illegal to have guns, even assault weapons. They should need more training. Meaning that you should be able to, through the training, sniff out the people that really shouldn't have the option of having one.
I know, dude, but here's the issue, and we're coming, dude. We're going to be facing it every time we're going to get a North Carolina bullshit thing, or the next Sandy Hook, or whatever. It's going to keep coming up to the point where they're going to beat it down our faces. Now, again, whether they'll actually ever, metaphorically speaking, ever be able to pull the trigger on real gun legislation to restrict it at any more levels than we currently have, I tend to doubt it. I think the NRA is too strong, number one. Number two, oh God, how many of us are there now, and how many of us own guns? There's enough guns in this country for, like, what, 2 for every citizen or something like that? It's insane.
Not quite, essentially.
No, I think it's 1 for every citizen. We literally have a gun for every citizen in this country. About 300 and some thousand guns, whatever it is.
400,000 people are here, but I would agree with you to some extent. My issue is this. It's the fact that when you look at the real statistics, look at a place like, for instance, Detroit, that has the highest level of gun laws, yet has the worst in the country for gun
There's
violence.
Outliers. Chicago's the same way. Chicago's an outlier, always has been.
I'm not saying it's all of them, and I realize that. My thought would be these statistics would be far different if the way to get a gun meant you actually had to go through some proper training.
And like I said, I haven't read the full article yet, so I'm not sure the exact numbers or exactly how they did everything. I know it's Harvard, so I believe they're credible, but I haven't exactly looked into the entire details of it. And you're right, there's subtleties here that we're not dealing with the raw numbers. That is hyperbole, like, yes. What if these people were better trained? What if you had more trained concealed carry owners? Because I dare say, as much as I say this study is interesting and needs to be considered, I still see and know far more examples of where a gun, not even being used, but just being brandished and or available in a situation, has prevented mass shootings and or really hideous things from happening, including numerous examples. Principal stopped a mass shooting at his school because he had a gun in his car that he had time to go out to get and retrieve. And that was another argument. Of course, the NRA is going to bring that up. Why would the guy have to go out to his damn car to retrieve it? Why is he not allowed to carry on his own school premises? So that gets back to that. Do we really want to arm teachers and or schools, which could save lives, but
here's something that everybody knows is the best weapon is one that you never have to fire, which basically is something that I've always liked the idea of. The only reason I would carry a gun usually is for the fact that people wouldn't bother even trying to mess with me. It says the message of back off, don't even try it, because I'm carrying. Does it mean that I'm necessarily going to use it on someone? Absolutely not. Only in the most extreme of circumstances. But I would agree that I think the big thing is more training is required for a lot of people, because I know for a fact, yes, everybody, I understand with the Constitution, everybody has the right to bear arms. And you know what? I have no problem with everybody in the country carrying a pistol. The only
there's safety concerns. As you know, I live near the Appalachian Trail, and I'm thinking about trail people. I would not want to do that shit without at least a sidearm, because the bear and or who knows, assholes, whatever, you're going to find it there.
You have the right to bear the arm if you are of the proper mindset and if you can do the training. Meaning that if you can properly maintain it, fire it, handle it, and understand and go through the training, when should it be used? Because here's another issue that not a lot of people realize. A lot of people like to pull out their gun for situations that the gun is not necessary. And this is something that's a big issue, is the fact that some people, because they have a gun, they don't realize when to use it and when not to. So
and that goes back to the sociological problem, and that goes back to the argument, were we better off in the late 1800s in the Wild West when everyone was packing and thus. But see, what has also changed, James, is think about then, dude. Even the thing I'm getting at that you're missing. Think about how we have changed just with our manners between the late 1800s and early 1900s to now. Think about how we dress, how we address each other. Think about what is acceptable now in our language, and look at how this show is. I've cussed how many times on this show? This stuff would have been bleeped out, not even allowed to be aired a few years back. Just think about what's acceptable now versus then. And honestly, there's a weird thing that changed, regardless of the gun maybe having something to do with this or nothing to do with this. Something definitely changed with how we treat each other, even here in North America, amongst don't know when it happened, but as you know, it started going on in the early 1900s, where we transitioned into this thing where people just felt it was okay to be dicks to each other. I'm running out of adjectives, which really just boils down to it. People feel like it's okay in public just to go ahead and be jerks to each other in a manner that was really considered unacceptable 100 years ago, even 60 years ago.
That's something I would agree with, and I agree that the culture has a lot to do with it. And I will say back then the culture was a lot different. Not only that, but people didn't view guns in purely a manner on person. It was used for self-defense.
Oh no, it's a hate thing now. No, people have embroiled, and that's the other evil side of the other part of the coin, which I don't like as much as and this makes me want to support the Second Amendment even more and be a gun supporter even though I don't own them, is because I don't like how they've been so easily demonized. Holy crap, it's an inanimate object. It goes back to the civil forfeiture argument almost. Here we are with an inanimate object we're going to charge charges on, or in the case of guns, here is a tool that we're going to demonize and make sure we understand that for some reason if we limit the clip size or make it not black or slap wood on it instead of plastic, it's going to fundamentally be a different thing. Yeah. Holy criminy.
You know, I don't want to trick, but looking at some of these statistics, you know what the funny thing is? Did you even look at these statistics? Because it's by an agree, neutral depends, more dangerous. Who were they asking? What age group? What kind of training have they had? If you say, like, in the United States, have a gun at home increases the risk of suicide.
I gotta find it. This was just...
What happens if you're mentally...
Hold on. This was the poll from the study. Let me actually find the study. That's actually just the poll.
Because where's the actual study and the actual information? Because a lot of this stuff that's opinion-based, to me, it doesn't matter.
I know, but here it is. Here's the one. Here's the actual article. That was the poll they took on the article. I'm sorry. These are more of the real numbers as far as...
Because the real numbers is what I'm really interested
in. And basically they're going with, across high-income nations, more guns generally mean higher suicide. That is a correlation. They're
not giving a ratio.
Well, dude, you got to look deep into the study. These are like top-down views. If you want to get into it, I'm sure this thing is a PDF file we can download and get more into next week after we've all looked at it. Yeah, let's study it. Let's actually get into this one because I'm very curious what they uncovered.
Are you talking about right now or for next week?
No, for next week. I dare say you're right. We put this one on the shelf for now. We look into this article a bit further, and we.
My thought is right now I'm not seeing currently, which we will look into this for everybody, but I am not currently seeing any hard facts. And this is what concerns is when you do any of these studies, typically you want to have some hard data right out front showing and backing up your overall statements. And the issue is I expect better from Harvard. That's Harvard. They're considered one of the best.
And you're right, and they may have flubbed this one because honestly my ex is a great one to talk because as you know, now that she's in her graduate work, she has that thing that she's allowed to do studies legally, whatever that permit is. She actually had to take a special test for it and everything.
Yep.
They may have flubbed this one. It was literally a study to say, oh my god, there are guns, there are more crimes, including guns. Well, of course there are going to be more crimes, including
guns. Well, no, and I think some of it's...
There's more cars, there's more car accidents. Well, no shit, tell me something I don't know. I mean...
Well, some of these things are self-evident.
Correlation does not equal causation. And
the problem is that study is all correlation. That's all it really is.
And here's something that I want to say going back to the... original, if you look at this original by Mother Jones, whatever, it's such opinionated questions that the polling, the problem is everybody's so
That's why I don't like polls. I don't like polls.
I will say this right now, I'm going to point this out. This is a skewed article from Mother Jones. This is very misleading.
That's why I didn't mean to post that one first.
No,
the Mother Jones thing.
But actually, this is a good example of when people are looking at websites, whenever you see numbers like this that are ridiculous in one direction, you know for a fact, especially when it's like agree, neutral, don't know, disagree. Who were they polling? Were they polling everybody that,
right.
What's their political opinion? What's their age? What background do they have? So I'll tell you this right now. If you ask people that are veterans, you ask people that are over 65, under 15, maybe 25, if they're black, white, Hispanic, whatever, they're going to get different answers. And all of them are going to contradict each other. So in reality, there's almost nothing in this country that's really that polar. Like in the United States, having a gun at home increases the risk of suicide. Yet again, how can you make that blanket statement over people when you don't know what their situation is? If you are someone...
Again, I think it's access is what the overall thing is. Yes,
and that's lucky enough to not suffer from PTSD and be perfectly fine, that probably, if anything, is neutral, even decreases, depending. And if you have someone that...
They go into law enforcement after without those side effects. It depends on what they experience.
I'm just saying, for anybody that's watching, this is the kind of stuff. Always look into what, because as that conversation we just had, because I understand where they're going from this, and I get it. Like, in all reality, we could take a step back and say, generally, yeah, it does increase the risk of suicide. You have that bad day, you have maybe a bout of depression or something.
But this is the most important issue of the day. Yeah. I find it very interesting. If you just looked at that Spurious Correlations website I posted, the correlation between people who drown by falling in a pool and Nicolas Cage films. I think that's an important correlation we need to look into.
What?
Yes, it's the second graph down.
We're going to have some fun with this.
It's the second graph down. It's the second graph down. I'm not joking.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Look at the second graph down. These are supposedly real numbers. I didn't double check it. This could be a spoof site. And that made me laugh. And look at some of the other ones down through there.
Oh my god, people who have died by becoming tangled in their bed sheets.
Versus how much cheese was consumed.
Did you ever hear about
divorce rate in Maine versus margarine consumption? There's a lot of interesting correlations.
Age of Miss America and murders by steam, hot vapors, and hot object. So,
did you hear about the guy who starved himself to death because he was blind and he was trying to find food, and he was also a hoarder, so he couldn't find his way around his house?
Oh, is that a real story? I was hoping it was a Gandhi story, and it turned out to be. Oh Lord, that's terrible.
That's awful. That just kind of ruined the mood.
Yeah, thank you for taking us down. I'm gonna go cry now. I'll see you guys next week.
That's what I'm here for.
But. All right, so we're gonna actually follow up on that Harvard one, guys. So we're gonna.
I would like to, because that's an interesting thing. Because I love my guns, but it's a weird subject for me.
It's something that I will say that this is something that I've done a lot of research over the years, and I will say this: all the states that, no matter whether they have guns or not, whichever one you have to go through more training, typically has lower rates, because the only people that get a hold of them are people that can mentally
probably true it, and I'll say as a microcosm, East Tennessee is not a good example where I live, because we have a very high concealed carry percentage around here. We have very low violent crime, very low. I mean, I don't know what the suicide rate is. I think that's probably on average, but dude, there just isn't anything happening. Yes, there was literally, since I've been here in the entire 9 years, there was one high-speed shootout and cop shooting. Everything else is pretty low-level stuff, and just everyone's pretty much packing heat. I mean, and and it's funny because I'm an air gun guy, so I actually would support and promote and drop the hint that those of you who are uncomfortable with firearms, that's fine. You can take baby steps. There is a whole new brave air gun industry out there that starts very affordably, that can actually bloom into a whole incredible hobby, including hunting and all that other stuff that has nothing to do with firearms. But by the way, remember, Alison pointed out, I think some of our high-power ones are going to get grouped in with firearms, just like they are in Europe. I think that will happen.
This is something that I've always kind of talked about, and I've always mentioned, is the idea that I would really like local police stations and authorities to start having times of the year where they can do kind of like a public forum about guns for people that maybe don't know much, or people that don't know the state's laws or the town laws.
What about the West Coast? Because to me, that was like part of scouting. That was part of like 4-H. That was part of.
Well, 4-H doesn't cover guns anymore. Like most of the stuff.
Oh, really?
Around here, it's all like agriculture stuff.
There was like rifle teams at most of the schools around here. The universities especially.
You kidding?
That went away.
High schools sponsoring rifle teams? Are you nuts?
You're right. You're kidding.
This is 2015.
We can't talk about rifles in high school in the same sentence anymore. I forgot.
You can't. I tried to once in high school at CAI, and they didn't exactly like that.
I'm sure they laughed. Do you believe Paxton faced an uphill battle getting a paintball team started, but they allowed that at least.
Holy hell, really? Then again, I
live in
liberal Massachusetts, where
and he did. He got the paintball team started, and they were actually happy about it. But at first, they're like, "Wait a minute, okay, what's the safety concerns?" They're like, "No, we're not bringing anything on campus other than just a show. nothing that can fire. Everything inert."
Exactly, and you also have the overbarrel covers too. You can bring other stuff like that. The barrel
absolutely. You always are plugged. You always got the socks on or whatever.
Exactly. That's why I have a few of those.
Or if you like being sexy, you call them barrel condoms. But I never like to call them that.
We've had worse names for those. But all right, moving on to the last topic, guys. Okay, this topic I will tell you right now, I was uncontrollably laughing and really confused and extremely concerned. A woman has started a preschool for adults where they have nap, play, and snack time. I don't know if this is... You know what the funny thing is that I thought about? If this was some sort of fetish thing, it would be more okay, but the fact that it's not and the fact that it's like $1,000
or maybe a new form of group therapy. I don't know. I could get down with the napping and playtime, but that's really weird. I don't know, dude. As a professional mental patient and disabled person, dude, that's weird even for me.
Like $1,000 to mess around with Play-Doh and do. I don't know. Maybe it's because I prefer doing things of my own age and more refined things, but it's what concerns me. It's not the fact that they want to do this, but guys, if adults, if you want to go have some fun, grab a bunch of friends, just grab a coloring book at your house. Like, why are you gonna go spend $1,000 to go to some place to act like kids?
Adults, if you want to have fun,
where's that? Is that in California?
Get a drink, goddamn, seriously.
Please tell me that's in California.
Everybody drinks. Don't make the assumption, but I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Like,
that's a microaggression.
if you want to like act like a
are we drinking Kool-Aid? I thought that was no.
Kool-Aid. What a kid's no. But the point being, like, if you want to act like a kid, like, doesn't everybody have their own house and their own friends and things, and it's just it.
Is it in California? Please say it's in California.
They say it's a way to deal with stress and getting in touch with their inner child, and I kind of get that, but at the same time, I'm
going to chalk it up to a West Coast opulent thing. Those people do weird richies things.
That's true too.
I lived out there, and those people, it was fun for a while, but you know, the rich life is weird too.
But I will say they do say it's like not a fetish thing, which kind of makes me a little bit more accepting of it. But it's something for me that's so taboo, and something that, as a person my age, I like to do things.
Well, it's not furries. It's not anthropomorphism.
What?
It could be worse. It could be the furries, that anthropomorphic stuff.
Yeah, it could be. But my point being that this is something that.
I know, it's a weird one. There's really nothing we can say on it.
I think that's what gets me too. Like, if you want to,
like I said, if people, hey, if she can make it work, man, whatever, more power to her.
I have to give her credit though. If she's gonna make a living off that,
right.
You lady that is running this, you've officially been able to make money out of thin air for doing jack nothing. You give people Play-Doh and cards, and a bunch of mats, and just let them nap. You know what?
That's so awesome, and they're adults because they're not going to misbehave that much, which is awesome, and they can feed themselves. You don't have to wipe their butts. That's freaking business.
That's like the best things of dealing with
business
like,
ever. Let's franchise.
Yeah. So, needless to say, I have to give her kudos for thinking of it, but at the same time, the fact that I just think it's weird that it even exists. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's so taboo for someone like me, but I don't know. It's freaky to me. I understand it to a point, but when you have to do, like, the whole 1 week, 5 days a week thing.
Yeah, I know. Like, and since we're running low on time, we have to have a quick memorial before we go.
Huh?
We have to have a quick memorial, the death of Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh yeah, guys, I totally forgot to bring up this topic, and we actually are going to discuss this, guys. And this is where I was going to kind of put on the background, get serious, and kind of talk about this. Everybody knows the whole Confederate flag issue, and I want to say bye-bye Dukes of Hazzard. It's always been a favorite show of mine. I think it's really sad that a flag has been demonized over something the flag never really had a hand in being a part of, but because
especially that show,
as being part of something else that it wasn't. Yet again, guys, this is part of that whole opinion thing. If I feel offended, I feel like I can do something. Where do we see that before tonight? But what saddens me is the fact that the idea that people haven't done their research and understood that in all reality, there are flags out there that are far more offensive, and yet they're allowed to fly. And I do agree with, I don't think the Confederate flag, it shouldn't have been on a state building. No. The only flag that should be on a state building is either your town flag, your state flag, and the country flag. The country's flag, our American flag. That's kind of it. You know, the Southern flag, the Confederate flag, the Rebel flag, whatever you want to call it, that's a personal thing. That is, maybe it might be part of some sort of Southern identity, which
it's like having a skull and crossbones flag. It's with that same kind of mojo to me. Again, if it bothers people, guess what? I think I told you this. I have plenty of Southern pride with or without the damn thing. But when they go to the knee-jerk level of canceling a TV show that had, literally, I looked it up, I think 2 African actors ever showed up on the show for very brief minor parts. As you know, not a word of racism was ever breathed on that show. In contrast to the Jeffersons and other shows of its same time period, it just kills me that we can't buy Dukes of Hazzard, or we can't see the show or buy a General Lee model anymore because of that one aspect. That's weird. That's weird, guys. Mississippi, guess what? You can keep your flag. It's not that big of a deal. It's basically sideways France with the Union Jack in the corner. You can exactly. That's a state flag. Go ahead and keep it. We're not bothered by that. Yeah. People who are bothered by that one, sure. I think North Carolina made a bold and proper move to remove it off the state grounds. Fine. But oh my gosh, let's cancel a TV show? Really? No. Really? Does that mean we're going to cancel? Does that mean we're not going to be able to watch Glorious Bastards soon because of depictions of Hitler and the swastika, and not to mention the last brave developer that would depict a swastika on our favorite sim style games, which was LucasArts back in the day of what was it called, Wings Over the Luftwaffe, was the last legitimate flight sim that showed German planes. Yeah, that's the last true flight sim or attempted flight sim that showed German planes with the swastika in the proper place. Which no one else has done it since because no one else was brave enough, and because that's LucasArts, they just said we don't care.
Yet again, just because it offends someone, and just because you take it the other way, I've never looked at the Southern flag as a sign of racism. I've always looked at it as something that to me, it's something I associate with like big lifted trucks with mud all over them and having
exactly. It's more of a rednecky thing. I've seen plenty of black people flying the things, plenty of black rednecks flying that flag without any beef of it.
What concerns me is, can everybody take the flag and look at it as a different way? Can I suddenly see the American flag or a French flag or something like that and say that, if someone, like for instance, they're flying the Russian flag, I can say, oh my God, they killed more people than Hitler. We should never fly the Russian flag. Arguably, there are flags out there that represent things far worse that would happen in the South, and yet everybody gets mad at what happened in the South. Yeah.
Pez, what you said before reminded me. Have you noticed that in War Thunder they feature the red star and the hammer and sickle anytime you're playing the Russians, but when you play as the Germans, the swastika is replaced by the Balkenkreuz.
It's weird, dude, and I think it's a bit of a flaw because, to me, the swastika, which was a perversion of the original symbol anyway, which is an old Hindu thing, as we know, but so what? So what? Guess what? That was how long ago now? Wait, let me look at the calendar. We're approaching 70 some odd years. Can we just let that aspect go and have a little bit of fun with realistically rendered aircraft? Or, okay, and for example, it is not illegal in this country. I was a boat guy, as you well know, sea exploring. You can fly multiple flags. Like, it is totally legal. Like, for example, in my mom's boat, they flew American flag, Germany flag, smaller, of course, has to be lower in staff, but you're allowed to fly the Germany flag because Hans was German or used to be a German national, and they flew the Tennessee flag because Mom's from Tennessee. So they flew two national flags and a state flag, totally legally on the boat. I don't get this whole just let the rednecks have their damn Union Jack and enjoy it. And again, not going to bring up the fact that that's not even the Confederate flag anyway, and it was demonized by the KKK. In fact, the Confederacy never officially adopted a flag. They had 4, and they kept changing their mind. And as we know, the Stars and Bars was never used in combat because it caused battlefield confusion. That's why they adopted the Mississippi battle flag, which is the one you see today, the Union Jack, which is called the Confederate flag, even though it technically isn't.
I don't condone why this guy was okay. So there was this guy, and like I said, I don't think it was right, and I think it was a really stupid reaction. But this was some old guy who hated Obama and the way he was running the country. So he decides to fly the flag of Nazi Germany outside his house. It bothered people, but he was never told to take it down. I don't think that it was right for him to do that. I think it was a stupid thing to do, but he had the right to fly it if he wanted to, and he was never told to take it down.
I'm pretty sure.
Someone does something you don't agree with, as long as it's not hate speech, you can't.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure the white supremacists are allowed to get tattoos of swastikas and fly the old German national flag and all that stuff all the time. And I don't mean the current German flag. I mean the old Nazi national flag.
Yeah.
And,
they even fly the flag of the Waffen SS.
Which is actually very specifically anti-Jew, because honestly, every almost without exception, any article or interview or diary I've read from any I can't pronounce it, Wehrmacht officer and or soldier, Luftwaffe pilots, including, hey, guess what? Freaking Gunther Rahl was our damn head of NATO for how many years, and he was like one of the top aces for World War II on the other side. Someone got over it, apparently. I don't know why the rest of us can't. Go look at what Gunther had to say. That guy's brilliant, and he killed he shot down 200 some odd Allied planes during the war. At any rate, so I don't know. The whole thing is ridiculous.
I would agree. So, the people watching, I would say this: I'm really sad that the media and everybody else has used the flag to basically promote their agenda.
User disconnected from your channel.
Whatever they want to have happen, rather than look at what it actually stood for, what it actually is, and really the idea that it's something that it's up to everybody else's different perspective. It's a flag, guys. That's really what it is. And if we go down this road, then arguably there's things that are far more.
And it gets into that weird First Amendment crap again. We're starting to step on First Amendment rights, and we start letting people legislate what we can wear or fly or whatever. And again, to me, if you want to be offensive, then worst case, you're just going to be labeled a dick.
Then fine, be labeled that. And to me, I would rather everybody say, you know what, you're an ass for flying a flag, than not have the option to. And it is still legal to fly it. I'm not saying it's been illegal. No, it's still legal. But the issue is, I find, is a lot of companies, because they saw the social trend, they stopped selling them. And the funny thing is, the few companies that are selling them are making a shit ton of money, because now they can charge prices for Confederate flags.
Now, a good friend of mine who does nails is very crafty. She's they make jewelry out of it. We've seen this before, like old spoons and jewelry and coins and stuff. Oh yeah, and guess what? She's taking spoons, and of course she won't use the good spoons because she's painting these. She'll just take steel spoons, flatten them out, and paint Union Jacks on them, and she's selling them all day long as keychain fobs, like tremendously. She's already sold, I think, 20 this week for like, I don't know, a lot of money.
But the point being, I hope this has been a trend that's been around, particularly in American politics. They take something, blow it way out of proportion. They do something to rally someone or some sort of politician. Then they get elected because of a one issue. So this is going to be something I know for a fact. I know Hillary's going to bring it up. I know for a fact many other politicians are going to bring it up. And the issue is, it's an issue that, let's be quite honest, guys, there are things that are far more important in our country that need to be dealt with. Like when we're talking about civil asset forfeiture, like really, guys, what's more important here? And what really
but remember, you know me, I'm a cynic. At this point, this is up to you guys. My generation blew it. It's up to you all in Pax's age to fix this crap because people are already entrenched. You're going to need to kick them out and fix it. Too late for us. Hopefully I'll be alive to see it, but I doubt it. I think I'll be dead by the time you guys get this boat righted up.
Well, it's what concerns me is the fact that many people don't look at the facts. And they're just jumping on the bandwagon. And that's the thing with social media.
I'm worried. Plus, I see a lot of complacency. I love my boy to death, but I talk about PAX. It's just not too interested in any of these topics. Really worries me.
Well, see, that's why I would say...
He seems to be part of that normalization effect already. No. He doesn't want to believe it can be bad. And I'm like, dude, it's bad. I don't want to believe it can be that bad either, but it is.
My thought has always been this. Whenever you talk about these things, look for the best case, worst case, and then find out kind of the reality, meaning that usually it lies somewhere in the middle. It might lean to usually sometimes more worst case than what you want, sometimes maybe even more best case depending on the side. But the point is, there's always something that's in this country to talk about. There's always something controversial. There's always something that needs fixing. And the reason I bring this up is because if you live in a country where you think everything's perfect, you have been lied to. I know it sounds weird, but you should always be constantly trying to strive to fix things. Sorry, to make improvements, to make things better. And I'm not saying improving to make things better as in like, oh, we all need solar roadways by tomorrow. No, but making the small adjustments because culture changes, time changes. And laws that were effective 5 years ago may not be effective today, or may not be needed, or maybe things need to be revised. So the point being that this is always going to be something that needs to be talked about. And I would say that coming from the culture that I have and from the family that I have, promote talking about politics with your kids. And promote it in schools, because so many schools don't. I was in a school that was a very conservative school, which granted economically I'm like that, but socially I'm more center, maybe a little bit left. But the point being that we couldn't really talk politics, especially with the teachers union being there, and they always had to stick their nose in on the position and say, you should be this, you should be voting for him. Oh, you're going to vote for someone else
Wow.
besides Obama.
No
who wants
debate
to be
classes or
racist.
anything like that?
You know, no, but we had what was called Well, I was on debate team, but obviously can't talk politics there. You'll get
That's right. You're
crucified.
not allowed.
But I was in a class called Current American Issues, CAI, senior year. And the issue is, we went over the parts of history like from the 1970s onward till now dealing with America. But the issue was, very commonly, everybody was siding with the teacher just because she's a teacher. But in reality, she had her own biases, which everybody has their bias, I understand. But I would point out frequently and say, by the way, statistically, what you're saying is not supported. And the issue was, I got crucified several times.
Yeah. Plus, there's a lot of stereotypes. Like teachers are generally viewed as liberal, which is not always the case. My mom is a clear example of not. Well, my dad is too. They're both pretty damn conservative, and they've been teachers their whole lives.
You're in a more conservative area than I am. I am
that's
in
true.
One of the most.
You're in the Kennedy zone up there, which is kind of nice in some ways.
I'm in the area where I'm like a unicorn.
That's true.
You know, so the point being that a lot of times I've seen it in schools, and what makes me sad is the young culture is not promoted to talk about politics. They say, oh, that's an adult thing, that's boring. When reality, as a citizen, you should always have your hand in dealing with politics.
See, that's weird, because I got interested in it a bit early, because I did have, like, literal, legitimate interest. And then, as you know, I got cynical pretty quickly afterwards. I started realizing that I really can't influence this at all. That my opinion kind of is fairly meaningless, it seems, and that's the sad part. That's the part I really wish could be fixed. And I told you, even if it's a perception thing, I don't even care at the end of the day if the numbers really substantially change. But even if public perception is that we have a more meaningful say with our vote, and I hint at things like, oh, I don't know, let's just make straight voting happen, let's get rid of the electoral college, let's assume people at least have basic information on their voting, you know, and let's not be so anal about the entire process, and let's not make it weird, and, you know, yes, we need to screen, but oh my god, the way voting works here is so bizarre. And like I said, I still feel like I don't understand it the way the Electoral College works, even after all these freaking hundreds of years of using the thing.
Yeah, it's Electoral College is not necessary.
It just shouldn't be
for an
uneducated populace.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a populace that was literally out of touch, because communication speeds were horse or train speeds back then. Not this instant digital world we live in, and that's where things change. And that's where we get the other conundrum, because this is where, unfortunately, classic and horribly simple sales techniques work on the lowest common denominator, unfortunately, and that's where you get politicians able to swing and pull vast majority votes in certain subsectors because they will appeal to that community, whatever it is, whether it's a minority group or the NRA or the freaking Tea Party people or whatever it is, as long as they can appeal, as long as they can seem like, hey, I'm your guy. Even if it's fundamentally, as you know, it's kind of untrue, because they're all moderates at the end of the day. They never tend to do what they say. And again, in their defense, I'm hoping that they all get into it with some level of sincerity and feel like, oh, I'm going to be president, I'm going to change shit. And I have a feeling after that first briefing, they all fucking crap their pants and have to go where it depends the rest of the time. Pretty sure the first debriefing, I'm pretty sure you realize your life just ended. You're like, wow, I'm going to change the world. I'm freaking head of the free world. And that first debriefing, you're like, wow, I can't do jack fucking shit. I'm a fucking mouthpiece.
So that's the other aspect of it, but it's.
I hope it's not that bad. You know, I jest.
I know. I don't think it is, but I just really hope that if there's anything to ever take out of anything, talk to your kids about politics. Like, even if they
just
don't
have the dialogue.
in it, have the dialogue, because so many
at
parents,
appropriate ages. Let's not drag them out to the abortion clinic protests when they're 9 and they don't even know the birds and bees, which they really do around the corner from here. And that one gets on me. I don't mind that they're teenagers, but when you have kids out there holding abortion signs that don't even understand what sex is about, that kind of bothers me.
No, that's being inappropriate and abusing your kids, in my opinion. That's abusing them to do something that they shouldn't be doing. But
leveraging your kids in an appropriate manner with politics, teach them about your views, educate them about abortion, but at appropriate ages.
Not only your views, but all the views. Give them the data, the facts, the info, and let them make it their own.
But you can't teach people how to parent, though. I wish we could.
I don't know if you guys know who Louis Theroux is, but he works for the BBC, and he just interviews really strange people like Nazis, UFO conspiracy theorists, and stuff like that. He went and interviewed the Westboro Baptist Church and went to one of their little street rallies, and the kids were holding their signs, God hates fags. He walks up to this kid. He goes, "Do you even know what that sign you're holding means?" And the kid's like sitting there thinking, I don't know. I don't know what this were. He's just sitting there stumbling around, thinking like, yeah, what does this mean?
You say he's from the BBC, right?
Yeah, he's from the BBC.
So his opinion is, well, that kid clearly doesn't know what a cigarette is.
I like that.
But anyway,
that's a good one.
But all jokes aside, yeah, that is ridiculous, and that's where, yes, I agree. Gibson, let's encourage parents to engage in political conversation with their youth, but at appropriate ages with appropriate topics, and keep in mind the age of cognizant reasoning for most kids is north of 11-ish, 11, 12, getting into pre-puberty.
Bring on like simple things. Like the idea of like fair taxes versus like the stepstone system, whatever you want to call it. Like that could be talked about with a kid when they're like 10 or 9, because that's something simple. It's
basics.
Emotional. Yeah, it's numbers. But
and what our government is structured like, theoretically still educate, which should be part of our, and it is part of primary education.
That was an elective in high school for me.
What?
Yeah, here's the thing that's crazy. A lot of people don't realize.
Basic government or whatever.
Yeah, the structure of government, that's an elective. You could totally go through high school and not have done anything about government and politics, how to vote, what the different parties are. Like, you could literally leave high school, become 18, and be allowed to vote and have no idea how it works.
So you just walk in there and just push buttons and walk out and be giggling and have nothing. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, you could be the guy, the 5 people that vote for Darth Vader every year.
The troll, right? Yeah. Yes, or the guys who, no, I think both Howard Stern and I'm pretty sure, even though Howard Stern always gets written in, and who else, even though he's dead, Frank Zappa gets written in every year, even though he's dead. Because I think people just love Frank because they just miss him.
So it's one of those things, if I can tell anybody, have the dialogue with the kids and learn some child psychology and understand when they can and can't handle it. But in this day and age, I see so many kids, even my own age, being at the age of 20 or even 18, a little bit younger, 16, that they just can't because they don't bother, and they are led to the assumption that it doesn't affect me, so why do I care? When in reality, nothing in this life affects you. Like, there's basically very few things that will affect you as much as what's happening now. Because that's the laws and legislations. That's the rules by what you live by. So, by saying it doesn't affect me, yeah, but the laws that are passed now will affect your kids that you have someday. Or, the marriage between you and your spouse or whatever. So I think a lot of kids are turned off, which kind of saddens me. So, any further questions, thoughts, comments, concerns?
We should let him go. We ran 8 minutes late, and if you look at the synergy of it, it's 10:38, so that's perfect.
Well, no, we're actually at 3 minutes before an hour and a half. It's usually an hour and a half show.
Oh, we got 3 minutes. Music time.
Minutes, so.
Party time. Okay, let's talk about your hair.
I mean, we can.
Let's talk about Megan's birthday. Happy birthday, Megan.
Happy birthday, Megan. I don't know if she's going to watch the show, but...
I know she never watches.
Have you ever...
Did you stalk my profile?
I always stalk up on your profile, bro.
That's a valid point. But, I'm
on your Facebook. Remember?
I want to send you a friend request, Pez.
That's fine. We love you, Stonewall.
But so yeah, in summing up this episode, that's why I've called it I Can't Even, because most of the stuff that we were talking about, I mean, this is just honestly, guys, the world is ending in my opinion. I can't even. But,
I know, and I've also heard rumblings that there's a world currency they're looking into, which might put the nail in the coffin for us being
they better not.
Because we are the reserve currency for the world, at least currently still, even though we're stand a chance to lose that status if we don't freaking step up the game. There's several countries looking at what's it called? It's a promissory note system that's already in place, and I don't like it. I'm telling you guys, that's going to devalue it's going to devalue our money so badly.
That means our economy will be reliant on every other economy in the world. And
plus, we will have to buy whatever this currency is in our exchange rate to be able to buy oil on the foreign exchange or buy any flipping thing on the foreign exchange. Which right now, people use our money for that, which is kind of nice.
Well, people don't realize that system can still be abused. Because
I know, and we have, I'm sure.
Can artificially inflate and deflate currency overnight, meaning that if you have a country that needs to buy military supplies...
I think it's called the U.S. Mint. Or wait, no, excuse me. That's just for coin. It's the bill of office and it's the engraving, whatever those motherfuckers that print money. Exactly. And yes, that's the problem. We are producing money at a rate in which we cannot cover it to buffer. It's that whole weird thing about
we don't have gold back in our money anymore.
No, actually, I dare say that was something we maybe shouldn't have gone away from. The neoclassical economic model does not work. I think it's been proven it's a failure. And the classical economical model, as much as it's old-fashioned, guess what? That shit worked.
Well, it's a finite system. It's
and plus, it goes back to the old system. Remember, I told you all the great, including that system, that economic philosophy, as well as all the great empires, never had a higher economic disparity of greater than roughly 6 or 8 to 1. Meaning the highest paid person in the company, the guy who owned the damn everything, made roughly 8 times what the guy scrubbing the toilets made. Or 6 times even. It depends on the culture, but that was the accepted norm. And that is not happening here in North America or throughout the world. The CEOs make ridiculous amounts of money over and beyond the low-level employees. And unlike what was happening in the early Industrial Revolution, when all of our factory workers, at least here in North America, I don't know how they do it in China because it's communist, but here in North America, those guys owned part of those factories they worked in through the profit sharing and stock system. They owned a share in that factory they worked in. They actually had legit pride, and of course that's when we were at the top of our game in the automotive industry as well, which we now are recovering from finally, luckily. It's taken bloody well 40 years nearly to get our shit together and to bail out, which kind of sucked, but at least they're doing good with the money. Instead of just giving their CEOs a bunch of raises, they put a bunch of engineers in charge.
But I think going forward next week we're going to be addressing a little bit of economics. We're going to be addressing the American field of politics because this is getting interesting with all the people running for president. And then we're also talking about not only the Harvard research, but I actually have something on gun control that we can also bring up. And
we'll look at the Harvard article in better detail.
That I might bring up next week. But the point is also, anybody watching this, whether it be on Twitch or YouTube, particularly on YouTube, let me know in the comments if you guys want us to keep this as our hour-long discussions, or would you guys rather us maybe start switching this into mini discussions where we have like 10-minute segments or 15-minute segments on different topics and things. Definitely let me know in the comments below. Give it a like, subscribe, or follow, or do whatever the button tells you to do, because reasons. But
there's a button down there. Yep.
There's a button somewhere, guys. It does something. It helps me out in some way, so...
Down towards the bottom, somewhere.
Probably below the video of some sort is a good start to go. But
plus, dude, we have Trump. Dude, Trump entered the race. All of our lives it's just going to be a very funny political season now. There's no doubt about it.
At this point, dude, I trust him over Hillary. At this point.
We're gonna the toupee of love.
Literally, honestly, at this point, it's becoming like. It's if like the Three Stooges started entering politics.
Doesn't even matter, dude. I seriously, if you were old enough, I would just say go ahead and put your name in, and you probably would do just as well.
Literally, honestly, at some point, I would love to run for president.
The hair.
I would never get elected. I would never get elected because I don't have the kind of money nor backing, nor do I have.
You run.
I'm not sucking people's things.
No, that's true. You run on the platform of.
Remember
the platform of what Jack Black would do: rock and roll and hair. Rock and roll and your hair. That's your platform.
Yes, remember how narrow-minded Americans could be too. You have the long hair and the stuff like that, and it'd be like, man, I want to vote for him. What? You an atheist too, right?
He will get the Jack Black vote, and you know that.
I will get the hard-rocking vote of America. All I need is a tattoo and maybe get a leather jacket, and
Yep. Yeah, we can start a Kickstarter.
I could start
because honestly,
guitar solo.
Yes,
that's gonna
exactly.
happen. Yes, it's happening.
Oh, I'm behind that political
move
right
that
there.
would totally beat Obama riding in on a skateboard.
Last point, we need to close out. Yes. We're going to have to start a Kickstarter for John's internet connection. I love the guy, but we need to work on him.
I would agree. That's one of these days. John, a.k.a. Lewis Sparks, in here. He has internet problems for obvious reasons, but the point being that, By the way, also something else I forgot to mention. Next week we're going to talk about the U.S. internet problem because I have a great article on it, and quite frankly, it clearly explains why we in America pay a lot more for internet for a lot less service. So,
and we shouldn't, which blows because we kind of invented it. Why do we do that? Why do we invent the cool stuff and then let other people have better versions of it?
Because
I don't fucking know. 737. What beats that?
I don't know, dude. All I know is I'm on fiber. I just like that Bristol freaking did not act like goobers and got on board.
But, alright, so I think I'm going to stop clowning around. We're actually going to end this. So yet again, for the final intro, thank y'all for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, do whatever. But I'm actually serious about letting us know about the whole, if you want us to do multiple different videos or keep combined with the same one. It's up to you guys. You know, I'm cool with whatever.
Yeah, we'll make Gibson whip out the video editing stuff. No problem.
I can do that. That's not a big deal. You know, it'll take me like 5-10 minutes of video. Just slap on a quick intro, do some stuff, edit some shakes out, and just film an outro. You know, I can actually put some effort into it if we want.
Work on the B-roll.
Oh well, no, we're gonna have some outtakes then. If it's gonna be like a pre-recorded thing, there will be outtakes. That will be a
all right. I'm on board.
You're up. All right. So we got.
Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night, everybody, and we shall catch y'all next time.